You are Locked On Broncos POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, folks. Well, a win is a win. We'll put it that way, as the Denver Broncos managed to sneak by the New York Football Jets in London. Your final score, 13-11. Not exactly the prettiest of games from the Denver Broncos, and I'm sure Broncos country is all sorts of wound up and frustrated despite the win, so we can go ahead and use this Locked On Broncos postcast as a vent sesh if you'd like to as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Broncos postcast. Don't worry, Cody and Sarah, they haven't gone anywhere. This is just your Locked On Broncos postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Cody and Sarah will be back. Not back, but they'll have their post-game reaction as well here sooner rather than later. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda. Move and be moved. Okay. Whew. Yeah, Dennis, you got the right vibe. Ugly, but a win is a win. That is really all there is to say about that performance from the Denver Broncos. Now, the defense was stout. We'll talk a lot about it positively about the defense, but, you know, the offense, man, taking a step back, and let me pull up this quote as well, because Bo Nix talked about it this week about, not subscribing to the thoughts of a trap game. And we'll read this for you, because this had the makings of a trap game. And I'll give you my take here in just 1 second. Okay. So, yeah, Bo Nix earlier this week, leading up to this game against the Jets in London, when asked about this being a trap game, said, quote, "I think in this league, quite honestly, it's a little disrespectful to consider anybody a trap team. They're an NFL team, and they're going to have some really good players on their defense, and it's not really a trap game. I think any game you can walk in and slip up and lose, that's just the league. If you're not careful in a way, all of them could be because they're that good of an opponent," end quote. So there's Bo Nix's thoughts on a potential trap game. This, of course, was before the game against the New York Jets. Curious to get his thoughts, because it looked like the Broncos were falling into a bit of a trap right there. And the reality situation here is, folks, look, a win is a win. But the Denver Broncos have to be lucky and counting their blessings that they were playing the New York Jets today. I mean, I think if they played just about any other team in the league, they probably end up losing this game. I mean, the second half was absolutely abysmal. Bo Nix did not have a passing yard in the third quarter of this game. It was just a disgusting, ugly, gross performance from this Denver Broncos offense. Outside of the first quarter, they started the game off pretty well, but I don't know if they were jet lagged or they were tired or it was London, the theatrics, this, that, the other. What we saw today from the Denver Broncos after the first quarter was gross. Absolutely, positively gross. So again, the good news is the Denver Broncos win. The bad news is the Denver Broncos offense looks like it's a mess. And the best news of the day is the fact that the Denver Broncos were able to have this ugly, this messy of a game on offense because they were playing the New York Jets. The fact that they were playing the New York Jets is the saving grace for the Denver Broncos here on this NFL Sunday, because if they play just about any other team in the league, I'm not sure the Broncos win that game. I don't think the Broncos win that game, because that was gross. Absolutely gross. My, oh my, the Broncos got to get back to the drawing board, flush this thing down the toilet, and get ready for next week. Because if the Broncos offense is going to look like they did today, potentially throughout the course of the rest of this season in spurts, buckle up. Buckle up, folks. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section right here on your Locked On Broncos postcast as the Broncos get the job done, albeit in ugly fashion. Let's dive into some stats here. Again, 13-11, your final score. And, Bo Nix was solid, I thought, in the first quarter. You liked what you saw from the Broncos in the first quarter. Bo Nix was comfortable. The running game didn't really get established throughout the course of it, but some nice mesh plays, some crossing routes. Evan Ingram getting involved early and often in this game and then kind of disappeared. Courtland Sutton looked to be an option in the receiving game early in this game and then just disappeared. Bo Nix, 19 for 30, 174 passing yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, which you like. But the offense as a whole, leaving a lot to be desired. I mean, Evan Ingram, your leading receiver for the Broncos in this game, with 5 receptions for 42 yards. Courtland Sutton, all the way down the list, the 1 reception for the 17 yards, had a catch that was called back on a flag as well. I mean, the Broncos offense, not just the passing game, not just the running game, but the totality was virtually non-existent for a majority of this game. J.K. Dobbins, your leading rusher, with 14 carries for 40 yards. Again, so Bo Nix doesn't cross the 200-yard threshold. J.K. Dobbins is held to under 50 yards, and the Broncos' leading receiver was held to under 50 yards as well. And they still managed to win the game, 13-11. That's so Jets, baby. That's so Jets. Oh, my gosh. And, I thought they got a little cute with the play calling at points in this game. The Troy Franklin fumble to kind of open it up, right? Good teams are going to take advantage of that. That's not on the play calling, but that was a boneheaded mistake to make early in the game. The Nate Atkins touchdown was splendid. It was a beautiful play call from Sean Payton. But after there, runs to the fullbacks, just discombobulation is what you saw across the board with this Denver Broncos team in London today against the New York Jets, at least on offense. Defense, they were sound for the most part. We'll talk about them here in just a moment. But just got to get this out of the way, man. We got to get this out of the way because I want to just flush this down the toilet, wash my eyes out with soap, and get ready for the New York Giants. Because I'm going to look at this game in a micro, and I'm going to hope that this type of loss and this type of performance does not boil over to what I think the Broncos can amount to this season. Now, look, I don't have the Broncos in the same category as the Buffalo Bills, but I do think the Denver Broncos can be a pretty competitive team in the AFC West. I could see the Broncos going out there, making the playoffs and winning a playoff game. I had them at 10-7, which was a bit pessimistic amongst some peers and colleagues in the market here. I think the Broncos are a good team, but I'm not ready to put them on that 12-13 win pedestal like so many people are, trying to do this offseason, and we're, hyping them up leading up to this season as well. I'm personally not there with them. And games like today is exactly why I was hesitant to anoint the Denver Broncos as a team that will win the AFC West, as a team that could win a Super Bowl, like Sean Payton mentioned in the offseason. I was not there. I do think the Broncos are a good team, and I think they're going to get better as the season goes along, but let's just take it easy on the expectations that were thrown at the Denver Broncos before this season, because a game like today reminds you just how far off the Denver Broncos from being a legitimate, elite, Super Bowl contending team in the NFL. On offense. On defense, though, they got the sauce, man. They got the sauce. And I know it was the Jets, and I saw Aaron Glenn, real quickly there after the game talking about how their passing game was non-existent. Well, this was just a lethal cocktail for the Jets because their passing offense, whether they're playing the Broncos or not, is not very good. But then you throw them up against the Denver Broncos with Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper and Zach Allen rushing the quarterback. You got Pat Surtain on the outside. You got some playmakers on defense. Talanoa Hufanga doing his thing as well. I mean, it is not easy to move the ball against this Broncos defense, and it's especially difficult to move the ball against this Broncos defense when your quarterback is Justin Fields and the Jets as a team lack any semblance of an identity on offense. That's just the facts, folks. So, we'll get into the defense here in just a moment. I see you guys are all fired up here in the comment section. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. We'll talk about the defense here in particular coming up after the break. But one more thought on the Broncos with the offense here real quick. They still lack an identity. I think that we see where the Broncos' identity is heading, right? In their wins, J.K. Dobbins has been dynamic. The play-action game has been there for Bo Nix. Finding Cortland Sutton as that safety blanket. You like mixing in Evan Ingram to start this game early and often. You liked what you saw. And I don't know if the Broncos just got complacent. I don't know if the Jets just made an adjustment on defense. I don't know if the jet lag caught up to them. I don't know if they took their foot off the gas. For whatever the reason, after the first quarter, when the Broncos could have been buried, played from behind, which they technically did after the Troy Franklin fumble. But, if you're going up against a competent team, if this is a playoff game or if this is a big game against the Eagles like last week, and I understand that they came back from down 14-0 in that game, just a lot to think about with this Denver Broncos team. And maybe some of it's expected, just to be fair. The NFL is very much a week-to-week league. And how often do you see a team come up with a big upset victory or a big close victory, an emotional victory, and then lay a goose egg the next week? That's a tale as old as time in the NFL, folks. Let's see what the Jacksonville Jaguars do today after being the Kansas City Chiefs last week, right? So the Broncos are not mutually exclusive to laying eggs after big wins. And thankfully for the Broncos, they did lay an egg, but they managed to win the game because they're playing the New York Jets. That's just the reality of the situation. Oh, my gosh. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, folks. Let's hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue along with the conversation. Plenty of thoughts on the defense. Jonathan Cooper, have yourself a day. Nick Bonitto, have yourself a day. And you know who was tied for total tackles for the Broncos on defense today? I'll tell you next, right here on your Locked On Broncos POSTCAST. Back in just a moment, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Mizzen and Main. You know the saying, look good, feel good? The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp, but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's why there's Mizzen and Main. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they've perfected it ever since. I love that you can go from the office to dinner or even out to the golf course and still feel comfortable all day. It's the feel of athletic wear, but with the look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen and Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, M-A-I-N.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main in stores in select states. Be sure to check them out and let them know that Locked On Broncos sent you. And let me also tell you about our friends over at Mazda, guys, because this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. Guys, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda moved and be moved. And guys, my Mazda player of the game, I think it's got to go to Jonathan Cooper and really just the defense as a whole. You want to give it to Vance Joseph, go ahead. I mean, I just thought the defense today, protected the Broncos in this game. Absolutely protected the Broncos in this game, lifted the Broncos to victory in this game. So shout out to the defense today as they get the job done. And we also tell you about our friends over at Supply House. Guys, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery, and it's an absolute game changer, guys. Join the free Trademaster program and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support lines. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com, real people and real service. And last but certainly not least, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, guys, because the NFL season is here and FanDuel has an offer you won't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Just visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Be sure to check them out and let them know that Locked On Broncos sent you. All right, so welcome on back into the program. I am your host, Aniello Piro. This is your Locked On Broncos postcast. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Media by AP. It is a 13-11 ugly victory, but a win is a win for the Denver Broncos as they improve to 4-2. The Jets, 0-6. I mean, they are an absolute mess. And Here's all you need to know about how stout the Denver Broncos defense was. We know how good the Denver Broncos defense could be on any given Sunday. But this Sunday in particular, they had the New York Jets in prison. They had the Jets locked up and they threw away the key. This is a real stat line. Justin Fields today, 9 for 17, 45 passing yards. The team as a whole had minus 10 passing yards. I don't even know how it's possible. Again, Justin Fields, this is a real stat line. 9 for 17, 45 passing yards. The running game was not much better. Breece Hall, 22 carries. Any guesses how many yards he had? 59. Let's take a look at the receivers for the New York Jets. Josh Reynolds, 3 for 25. Garrett Wilson had 3 catches. Outside of that, only Andrew Beck and Mason Tyler caught 1 ball each. The Denver Broncos defense, led by that pass rush, supported by the reigning defending defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain, absolutely demoralized the New York Jets on offense. You want to talk about the Broncos not having an identity on offense? Whatever's worse than that, that's where the Jets are. I can't even begin to describe how pitiful and putrid the Jets offense was today. And again, I think a large part of that is because of this Denver Broncos defense, but it's also because the Jets aren't a very good football team. They're not. But yes, the Broncos defense showed up. And again, in a game in which the offense did not have it, the Broncos defense put the team on their back and just dominated all facets of this game, man. They really did. Alex Singleton, your leading tackler today, are tied with Brandon Jones. 7 total tackles, 5 of them for a loss, or 5 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Brandon Jones had 7 as well. Riley Moss was 6. Nick Bonitto, 6 tackles, a sack. So that number continues to go up and up. You're looking at Nick Bonitto as a legitimate defensive player of the year candidate here, folks. Justin Strnad had 6 total tackles. Hufanga with 5 tackles, 4 of them solo as well. Jonathan Cooper, as I mentioned, 5 tackles. And 2 of them being solo and 2 sacks in this game for Jonathan Cooper. So we always talk about Nick Bonitto. We love to talk about Zach Allen. Put some respect on Jonathan Cooper, man. And when those 3 come together, they are a tough defensive front to slow down in any sense of the imagination. So the Denver Broncos defense today absolutely put the Jets offense in a dark place, in a very, very dark place. I mean, to hold the Jets to under 50 yards passing, not 100 yards passing, 50 yards passing, while generating constant pressure, nobody touching the ball at the receiver position for the Jets. Breece Hall can't get anything going. That is a 10 out of 10 performance from the Denver Broncos on defense today, folks. What a game. Wow. What a game from the D. And that's why I say, about this Broncos team and outlooks and championships and playoffs is like, I had them at 10-7, like I've said a couple of times now. Like, this defense, I do think is championship caliber. This defense is rock solid, man. I know there's some questions about the linebacking position. We still haven't even seen Drake Greenlaw out there, but Talanoa Hufanga has been as advertised. Nick Bonitto's, the Broncos might look back on that Nick Bonitto contract and look at it as a steal. That's the reality here, folks. I mean, Nick Bonitto is trending up to be a top 3, top 5 defensive player in the league if he isn't already. That's where we're at. We know what Pat Surtain is, right? I mean, they are just rock solid on defense. They are absolutely rock solid. So game ball to Vance Joseph today, and game ball to Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonitto, and all those guys. Zach Allen and company. Alex Singleton, put some respect on Alex Singleton, man. He's been the getting a lot of criticism for his play throughout the course of this season. Led the team in tackles today. Yeah, no turnovers here. I see we got a comment, no turnovers, but I mean, I think part of the reason there was no turnovers is because the Jets literally couldn't do anything. I mean, how many opportunities do the Jets have, close to midfield? They had to move the ball 10, 15 yards to get a field goal. How many times? Too many times that I could count. So I understand that, maybe you look at this and there's no interceptions or no fumbles, but that didn't matter. The Broncos prevented the Jets from even having an opportunity to throw an interception. That's where we're at with this Broncos defense in this game. A couple more stats here that I want to throw out there just to show you the discrepancy of this game. I mean, this is almost hard to believe. The Broncos only had 12 first downs in this game, folks. Not great. The Jets had 8. 8 first downs for the Jets compared to 12 for the Broncos. They both ran 57 plays. The Broncos had 246 total yards of offense. Again, not great. The Jets, not even 100 yards of total offense. 82 total yards for the Jets in this game. We told you about the passing, 168 passing yards, minus 10. For the Jets is where they end up in this game. Negative 10 yards. That's impressive. That's actually impressive. The fact that an NFL team could have a negative passing yards in an NFL game. It really is impressive. And the time of possession was relatively split. 31-08 for the Broncos compared to 28-52 for the Jets. So again, this is hopefully the ugliest football game that all of us will have to watch in a long time. And thankfully the Broncos came out on top. Thankfully, the Broncos escape. It's one thing to lose, to play a game like that and lose. And obviously, I think Broncos fans are more frustrated than excited and happy right now. But at least you won the game. At least you won the game. All right, I mean, I think we touched on it all. I'm trying to think. We talked about the defense, highlighted Jonathan Cooper, talked about Bonitto and Singleton, talked about Bo Nix, the play calling. I want to see more Evan Ingram. J.K. Dobbins gets a little bit of a pass. He's been pretty good. Pat Bryant, bad false start there. All in all, man, at the end of the day, deep breath. A win is a win. A win is a win. An ugly one, but it's a win. All right, folks, enjoy the morning slate. It's actually kind of nice to be wrapping up a pod at 11:15 in the morning. I get to watch the afternoon games, the mid-afternoon slate, Sunday Night Football. And at least Broncos country, despite the frustration, can look back on this and say, at least we won the game. At least we won the game. All right, folks, that's it for me. Appreciate y'all. Follow me on social at Media by AP. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button on your way out the door. We'll do it again next week. Broncos get the win in London, now 4-2. Have a good one, folks.